Detroit Lions cornerback situation. It's been rumored by multiple reports now, but I guess more prolifically, is that a word I'm looking for? From Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, that the Detroit Lions would be aggressive in the cornerback market, both in free agency and possibly a trade.
Yeah.
Well, L'Jarius Sneed officially hit the non-exclusive tag. Fuck, I meant to ask him about that.
It's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be L'Jarius Sneed, but I told you Brad Holmes is going to make a move. He told us that he basically came out here and said, I'm going to get a cornerback in free agency this year. He said that.
Did he?
He said free agency is where you address your needs.
He did say that.
And what are the biggest needs of this team? Cornerback. So he is going to get a cornerback in free agency. Whether he pays for one or whether he makes a trade and brings one in, I'd almost put it in wraps that Brad Holmes is going to bring a free agent quarterback or trade for a cornerback on this team for next year. I would guarantee it. He came out there and told us that you address your needs in free agency, not the draft. The biggest need for this team, unequivocally, is cornerback. So if he can't get his guy on the market expeditiously, if he can't get his guy on the market, he is going to make a trade and bring somebody in. He's going to bring a guy who's played in the NFL before to play corner. You don't put the biggest need on this team in the hands of a rookie.
Yeah.
When you're trying to win a Super Bowl. You go out there and you bring somebody in that's done it before. I don't know if it's going to be L'Jarius Sneed. You talked about liking Kendall Fuller. I'm good with that. If you sign Kendall Fuller and you got 2 2s out there,
222.
I'm fine with that. But I'd almost guarantee Brad Holmes brings in a quarterback in free agency or a trade.
You mentioned putting it in wraps or putting it on wax or whichever term you want to use. I actually put it on Twitter this weekend that I will live on air eat 20 fucking nasty ass oysters.
Dude, you don't like oysters?
I saw the
You guys oysters? You like oysters?
Yeah,
I love oysters, bro. I'm a big seafood guy.
Not a big seafood guy.
No, I love seafood. If I could only eat one type of food for the rest of my life, it would be seafood.
That is disgusting.
Like one meat. There's just so much different seafood.
So you will slurp 20 oysters on
Come
air.
on, yo, why you gotta say slurp?
It's how you eat them. But I'll do it with you, and I'll enjoy it. I'll do it as a
I don't see a world where Brad Holmes gives up assets, competitive assets too. It's not like other teams don't want L'Jarius Sneed. Like he's a high commodity when it comes to the cornerback market, especially in this offseason where there's not that many free agent guys that you consider top tier. L'Jarius Sneed was probably the #1 guy. Yeah. Outside of Jalen Johnson, he's probably going to stay with the Chicago Bears. I assume they have a fuck ton of money to pay him. I just don't see a world where Brad Holmes gives up assets to reset the market with L'Jarius Sneed, specifically after he got done telling us multiple times, not just Brad Holmes by the way too, Dan Campbell got on this as well, multiple times, they're not going to spend heavy on external ads. They don't see it as the cautious approach that they told you they're going to take again this year. Now, I see him acquiring a guy. I just don't think it's L'Jarius Sneed. I don't see a world with L'Jarius Sneed. I really
You should buy 30 oysters and we can each do 15 because I'll just eat them out of happiness. You don't like oysters?
I'm not a big fan of oysters.
A little bit of lemon juice, a little dab of hot sauce. Suck that boy right on the shelf.
This is getting great. I don't like. Yeah, we can change the subject right now.
Good, man. So but
good. I'll be willing to put it out there, and if it happens, I will do that live on air. I will. You sounds like you want to take a part of it too.
Yeah.
We'll
I'll do it either way.
We'll have the duality of man go down here live on the Woodward Heavyweights. I don't see a world where that exists. It doesn't make sense to me. Do I like L'Jarius Sneed? Yes. So I like the things I like to hear out of L'Jarius Sneed. Yes. You hear about Steve Spagnuolo.
Spagnuolo.
Thank you, Jesus. And what he likes to run on defense, it's the similar situation as Darren Glenn.
Yeah.
The heavy, aggressive man coverage stuff, that's what they like to do. They have the bodies for it. We don't. Obviously, L'Jarius Sneed would help us in doing that, but it's just not at the cost. It's not going to happen.
You ever been to Caju Cafe?
Well, we're done with the oyster stuff. Chris, you have a football comment?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to this rumor, it could be a Brad Holmes smokescreen, but I think there's real truth to it. I think he's at least very much looking at the value of acquiring Sneed or someone of that caliber. I've been pushing that train for weeks. Okay, if the DB is not in the draft that you want and there's no high-tier free agent that you think is realistically gettable, then you're going the trade route. Now, my only question is, and I know it's different because it's not necessarily right within your division, but the Chiefs have aspirations of another Super Bowl, obviously. Mm-hmm. What do you think those negotiations look like with the Lions, who they know are a team that not only beat them last year, but were in the Final Four? I'm not saying that they wouldn't do the deal.
No, they don't care about that.
You don't think so?
No,
you don't think
I-
that
They're not
gives
worried
any
about
hesitation to the move?
No
Like,
hesitation at all. I don't think you don't worry about that as a Chief. The only things you worry about in that situation are like interdivision. Is the Chiefs might not want to do this to give him to the Chargers, but like if he's going to the Lions, they don't care. It's a different division, different conference.
Yeah.
They're not worried about that. I do think though that I don't know, man. They said a day two pick could get it done. So if you're would you trade a second round pick for L'Jarius
would.
Sneed?
I really would.
Yeah.
I really don't mind.
You
Like,
just don't think Brad Holmes would.
like obviously I wouldn't be in love with it. I think it'd be more ideal because that's the other part of it too. When you're talking about like a trade for L'Jarius Sneed, it's going to be a competitive market, so maybe it gets raised to a second and/or first rounder because of that. But like, you got to factor in the like teams. He's going to have to get paid right after. Like that's part of like the equation of this, and that's where it's like I feel like the trade loses value a little bit. If it's a day two pick, yeah, I guess I'd be more comfortable with it. But Brad Holmes point blank told you. He's not going to spend money on external ads. I guess big money. Like he's going to pay the guys internally before that ever happens. So especially if there's not an Amon-Ra St. Brown contract like made official yet, or Jared Goff, or like
Well, they
Penei
didn't pay
Sewell.
Kendall Vildor.
Huh?
And so they didn't pay Kendall Vildor, so there goes paying the internal guys at cornerback.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about just like in
know,
general,
yeah.
like the amount, like the big money they're going to spend. They said that's going to be like spent internally before anything else. The Amon-Ra St. Brown contract has yet to been announced.
He's getting it.
It's the L'Jarius Sneed's not happening. I would just get it out of your minds, guys. I really would. I don't know why anyone would hype themselves up after literally hearing Brad Holmes say these things. It just doesn't make sense.
Oysters?
I don't like oysters. Nick, what were you about to say?
Oh, nothing. I just know our day two pick, I mean, it's pick number 61, so it is at the back end of round 2. I would 100% give that up for Sneed. I'm all in on that. We talked about the contract. It's like, is it going to be closer to that $20 million mark, or is it going to be closer to like 16 and a half, 17? You know, so that is like a big difference to me that I would rather give Amon-Ra St. Brown, so I want to get this deal done before this.
I believe on the non-exclusive tag right now, it's like $19.5 million. It's going to be $20
Amon-Ra St.
million.
Brown is getting his money. He's getting his bag.
Yeah.
You don't got to worry about that. He's going to be like, they're going to ink him to, it's going to be a 4 or 5 year extension, something like that. It's going to be around $27 million a year. It's going to happen.
The keys of wisdom in the Woodward Sports Chat says trade route is the least desirable way to add a cornerback. I actually don't believe that to be the case. I just believe that to be the case when it comes to L'Jarius Sneed. Because not only are you trading, you're literally resetting the market at the cornerback position. Like he's getting paid $20 to $19 million per year. It's not. I promise you. If that doesn't happen, same thing. I'll eat the oysters.
Free Rio.
Free Rio. What up, Chris?
I hear you, Eazy, but this is the part of team building that everybody has to factor in, is what are the other avenues, right? And I know we've talked about them before, but that's where we're at with this. Sometimes you have to make a move that you don't necessarily love.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the move that you have to make. Like team building is like, okay, if you're not getting Sneed, then what's the alternative? We've looked at the free agent market for cornerbacks. We've looked at the draft for cornerbacks, and we talked about not wanting to put that expectations of a Super Bowl on a rookie starting cornerback.
Yeah.
So this may be the option that might not be the prettiest, might not be the most preferred.
I can see a trade. It's just not going to be L'Jarius, man. I'm telling you. Like
that's what I think too. That's what I think too. I've been saying trade for weeks, but I'm saying this is why you team build. This is why you're leaving no stone unturned. He's looking at the value. He's seen if the value. He's probably looking at other cornerbacks around the league and other trade talks for different corners. And he's saying, okay, he's weighing out the value. Maybe you get a little less for Sneed or less than expected. Like,
yeah,
it's all about every team has their own positional value of what they need. What the Chiefs are looking for might be different than what the Chargers are looking for. That's team building. But if you're not going Sneed, then you got to look at the alternative. And what, in your eyes, is the alternative? Another trade for a different corner? And
yes, exactly. And I'm going to combine these two things between what you said and what both Chef Talks NFL said. He said, to be fair, speaking sports, he said the reason is because you just don't know these players. If he feels comfortable meeting with Sneed and knowing he is a grit guy, he might make the move. No, he's not making the move. He's not resetting the market. But, speaking about knowing guys and trading for guys, we talked about it beforehand, Marshawn Lattimore.
Yes.
And we kind of like dispelled that because he just renewed his not renewed his contract, but he renegotiated his contract with the New Orleans Saints early January. Well, that's one of the names Jeremy Fowler put out there that may also be in the trade market at the cornerback position. Now, you want to talk about knowing a guy and being comfortable paying him? One, you can just eliminate the paying him part. I mean, he's already under contract.
Yes.
2, you know him. You have Dan Campbell. You have freaking AG, who was literally the secondary coach in New Orleans, where he performed extremely well. I'm being told we got to go to break. Let's go to break, come back. Let's talk about the possibilities of adding Marshawn Lattimore. Chat, I want you guys active. If you know the number, call the number, speak your piece on it. Even if it's on L'Jarius Sneed, I want to hear from you guys. But not before we tell you about Jack Labrador.
Jack Labrador. Football season is